everyone, it's Natasha Bellawifa from PenPadPurpose.com with the next installment in this month's Sync-Up series, Renew. Today's segment is titled Spirit Thirst. For the next few minutes, we're going to be syncing up with God about how a relationship with Jesus renews the spirit. Our key text for today is John chapter 4, verses 23 through 26. Now, there was a time when I believe nothing could quench my thirst more than an icy, fresh out the freezer, condensation dripping can of Sprite. You couldn't tell me I wasn't obeying my thirst when I drank Sprite. I just knew it was quenching my thirst. That is, until I learned some rudimentary facts about biology and physiology. You see, thirst never tells us to drink Sprite. We're made mostly of water. When we're thirsty, it's our body's way of telling us we're low on water, not Sprite. In fact, drinking sugary drinks when you're thirsty is completely counterproductive. Sugar actually dehydrates you. In other words, it makes you more thirsty than when you began. Isn't it funny how we can convince ourselves that something will satisfy our thirst when really it just makes it worse? Well, that's what our topic's about today. A really thirsty woman who was just going to all the wrong things to quench her thirst. It all starts at a well in Samaria, but not just any well, Jacob's well. The well was next to a town called Sychar, which means drunken. Interesting. It was dug by Jacob and given to his son Joseph. Now, there's no Old Testament reference to this, but it is mentioned in the New Testament. Anyway, Jesus was headed from Judea back to Galilee. He stops and rests at the well at the 6th hour, which by our clock is 12 p.m. Now, it was hot and he was tired. A Samaritan woman comes to the well and he asks her for a drink. Now, there's two things weird about this scenario. One, she's a Samaritan and he's a Jew and he's talking to her. Two, she's alone at noon drawing water by herself. Let me explain. See, Samaritan ancestors were once Jews of the northern kingdom, but after the exile to Babylon, the king of Assyria sent a bunch of pagan peoples to Samaria to resettle it. However, because they weren't worshiping the Lord allowed lions to come and kill those people. So the king sent a Jewish priest back from exile to teach the resettled people how to worship the Lord. And he did. But the resettled people mixed their pagan rituals into their worship of the Lord. So Jews had no respect for Samaritans as real people of God and treated them with disdain. They believed they were the real Jews and Samaritans were like these fake Jews. Anyway, it was also very strange for a woman to be going out alone to a well to draw water by herself. One, because it was dangerous. I mean, the wells were outside the town, so there could be robbers, there could be animals, who knows what. Also, water is heavy. It's better if you have help. And then lastly, she's out at noon. It's the hottest time of the day. It's like this woman was seriously trying to be alone, but why was she trying to avoid people? Let's keep going. So Jesus asks her for a drink. And she's like, why are you even talking to me? You're Jewish. And he's like, well, if you knew who I was, you would ask me for living water. And she's like, dude, you don't even have a bucket to get water. I mean, what? You think you're greater than Jacob himself? I mean, what, you think your water is going to be better than his well water? You know, the whole Jewish superiority, Samaritan inferiority thing. Anyway, Jesus says the water I'm going to give you is going to keep you from being thirsty. And she's like, give me this water then so I don't have to be thirsty and I don't have to keep coming out to this well. Wait a minute, I'm sorry. Didn't this whole conversation start with Jesus being thirsty and asking for water? How did we get to him offering her water? Well, a simple request from Jesus shows us that the conversation had switched from being about physical thirst to spirit thirst. It all comes out when he asks her to go get her husband. Well, she told him, I don't have a husband. Jesus was like, you're right, because he already knew that. In fact, he knew that she actually had previously had 5 husbands. Even by today's whatever seems right to you social morality climate, that's still an eyebrow-raising amount of husbands. And that didn't stop there. He also knew that the man she was with now wasn't even her husband. Now, this could mean she was messing around with some man she wasn't married to, or she was messing around with someone who was married to someone else. Either way, this explains the lonely trips to the well at high noon. I mean, think about it. Years of whispers, murmurs, name-calling behind her back, probably in front of her back. I mean, no wonder she was trying to retreat from the eyes and observations of others. She was ashamed. And then what about the men in her life? I mean, the Bible doesn't really tell us much about who they were or their character, but if her current boyfriend is any indication, it can be assumed she wasn't treated very well. Her current man thought so little of her, in fact, that in addition to not having the inkling to commit to her, but probably still enjoying her body for his pleasure, he also didn't feel inclined to shield her from the coarse comments of others by going to the well for her so she didn't have to face people. I mean, he wasn't even willing to help her carry the water. So anyway, what was her response to Jesus revealing that he knew all her dark secrets? Well, she asks him about where is the right place to worship. Now, I know that totally seems random, and some people might say that she was trying to switch the subject. I don't know, maybe she was, but I think maybe she was finally getting on topic about what was and had been her problem all along: false worship. See, she was a Samaritan. She grew up with a tradition of tainted worship. She was mixing false god worship in with worshiping the Lord. That worship was ineffective and meaningless because she didn't even know who she was really worshiping. I mean, if she did know, she would have known that he does not share his worship with anyone. And then there was the worship of romantic relationships. She's demonstrated that she was willing to sacrifice her dignity, self-respect, and her womanhood on the altar of have a man. So what was the result of all this false worship? Well, a deprived, dehydrated, dying spirit. But Jesus provides the answer to her worship problem in John chapter 4, verses 23 through 26, which I'll read to you now. But the hour is coming and is now here when the true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and truth. For the Father is seeking such people to worship him. God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and truth. The woman said to him, I know that Messiah is coming, he who is called Christ. When he comes, he will tell us all things. Jesus said to her, I who speak to you am he. Like this woman, our spirits are wired for worship. And like this woman, we have sometimes faced misguided thoughts about worship being about a certain place or a certain people or doing certain things. Jesus teaches us that real worship is about two things: spirit and truth. Worshiping the Spirit means it comes from the very essence of who we are to the very essence of the God who made us. Worshiping in truth, meaning that it's focused on the true source of our life, God. Imitations simply won't do. So what happened? Well, she finally realizes that she's met the object of true worship, Jesus Christ. She goes into town to the very people she had been avoiding and tells everyone what happened. They come to meet Jesus. And in verse 39, we learn that many people came to believe because of the power of her testimony. Notice, however, she doesn't go running home to her man first. Like I said, when your spirit is renewed by worshiping the true source of life, imitation simply won't do. I'll end with this week's words for sinking. True worship is deadly. It kills our shame, slays our insecurities, and destroys all that is false. Now, take some time during your day and reflect on the Sink a Little Deeper questions posted below this video. And don't be shy, be heard. Share your reflections by posting a comment. Well, that's all my time for today. Until next time, everyone, remember, do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly. Bye for now.